Alright, so now I've got 24 sweethearts that I'm going to be sharing with 4 students. So as you can see, I've got the 4 students and they're sharing the 24 sweethearts. So 24 divided by 4 is going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they would each get 6 sweethearts. Now if I only had 12 sweethearts and I'm dividing it by 4, we can see that now they're only going to get 1, 2, 3 sweethearts. And then if I had 8 and I'm dividing it by 4, then they would get 2 sweethearts each. So each person would get 2 sweethearts. And then if I only had 4 sweethearts and I divided it by 4, then they would only get 1 sweetheart. And then thinking about whenever we divided, one item, this would be hard to do with the sweetheart. But if I divided 1 between the 4, I would have to break it up and they would only get 1/4 of the sweetheart. So now we're going to take it even smaller. What if I only had 1/4 of a sweetheart and I divided it between 4? So think about how much they would get there. And with this one also, think about if they're going to get more than 1/4 or less than 1/4. So before we go over the answer to this, we're going to think about the patterns that we have noticed in all of these. So for just a minute, you can pause it and write down what patterns you noticed. And also think about why is the quotient, and remember the quotient is the answer to a division problem, why is it getting smaller each time? So pause it for just a minute and write down on your form the patterns you notice and why the quotient is getting smaller. Alright, so now if you looked at the patterns, you probably noticed that each time we were dividing by 4. But the number that we were dividing by was getting smaller each time. So I started out with 24, and then I had 12, and then I had 8, and then 4, and then only 1, and then only 1/4 of a sweetheart. So each time the number that I shared got smaller. And when that happened, you notice the quotient was getting smaller as well. So when the number that I have to share gets smaller, then the quotient is going to get smaller. Even though I'm dividing by the same 4 each time, when I have a smaller amount to share, then they're going to get a smaller amount. So with this last one, 1/4 divided by 4, we're going to look at a model to kind of help us with the answer on it. And with this one, because we only had 1/4, we know our answer is going to be less than 1/4. So this model will kind of help us to see that. I've got a rectangle divided into 4 parts, and all I have is 1/4. So it's like I'm taking 1/4 of 1/4. So I'm going to divide this 1/4 into 4 parts. And so my answer is going to be just one of these. Each person would get one of these pieces. So if I think about my entire model here, it would be divided into 16 pieces. So if I'm just going to get one of these pieces here, then I get 1/16 of the entire rectangle. So thinking about the sweethearts, I'm only going to get 1/16, so I get a really, really tiny piece of the sweetheart. All right, we'll do some more practice with this.